You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. It's only been a couple of weeks since the inauguration, January 20th. President Biden has signed a significant number of executive orders, and you got the New York Times put an editorial out saying, "Oh, Biden needs to slow down on executive orders. That's stupid. It's constitutional." But what you are describing is a much more aggressive use of federal law and federal powers. And I think what oftentimes happens, Reverend Barber, in this country, when we're talking about how do we help people, we have politicians who say, it's a whole lot I can't do. It's a whole lot I just can't do. We just don't have the power. Beyond how to use Title VI, what are you also saying that the Biden administration should do to be far more aggressive to deal with race equity and to impact with existing laws on the book? You just got to be willing to use them and wield them, frankly, just as aggressively as Donald Trump and Republicans do.
Exactly. So first of all, one of the things is when we talk about racial equity, we need to be talking about first what the Civil Rights Act actually allows to be done, because it's never really been fully enforced. And that act can be used against businesses, because anybody that gets anybody that gets federal money can be held accountable. You know, back in the day, Roland, when they were trying to pass laws, they ran some things through the interstate commerce, and they said, okay, you can discriminate all you want if you can get your goods from one place to the other without using federal roads. Paid for by federal money. It's almost as though we used to think about how to get something done rather than how not to get it done. Take, for instance, we're going to talk about racial equity. We have to have a conversation about mass incarceration and police reform, but we can't stop there if we're talking about racial equity. Let me give you a point. Right now, we have this conversation about living wages, and you heard the Republicans say to Biden today, they don't know what living wages has to do with COVID relief. Really? Well, here's what it has to do, and here's what it has to do in particular as it relates to Black people. If you raise the living wage to $15 an hour right now, which is only finally doing what the March on Washington asked for, because the March on Washington wanted $2 an hour, which would be $15 an hour today. All right, if you do that, that would give 50 million people, poor and low wealth workers, it would pull them immediately out of poverty. Now, talk about racial equity. 30% of Black people would be impacted. 25% of Latino people would be immediately impacted. All right. In addition to that, we know that if you add tip workers, of which Black and brown people, especially women, because 70% of tip workers who make $2.15 plus their tips, they are low-wage workers. 60% of those could not get in unemployment because the state said they didn't make enough base pay to get unemployment. But if you raise them to $15 an hour federally, then you impact a lot of people. And in addition, 6 million people who lost their jobs during COVID and were forced to go back to work. And Roland, I heard something today that'll make you just, that tip workers in restaurants, the women, were told to pull down their mask so that people would tip them more during COVID. Pull down their masks so that people would tip them more. If we raising the living wage is not just an economic issue, because you know, like I know, that systemic racism and economic injustice tie hand in hand. And this is why you need to federalize it and use the federal law. Because in Kansas, for instance, the voters voted to raise the living wage. Then the state legislature came back took it from them. In Birmingham, Alabama, the black and white poor and low wealth workers got together and the city council voted to raise the living wage, and the state legislature took it from them. And so we have to wield federal power with much more strength, which being more strategic, and we have to look at it in every area of this work. And that is where we are in this moment. We just had tens of thousands of people. We started 14 weeks tomorrow, Monday, today. And we had tip workers, we had black workers, we had white workers from West Virginia, we had SEIU, we had One Fair Wage. We're all coming together saying that we must have just COVID relief. And we must have $15 an hour now, not 5 years from now, but now. Now, on the COVID relief side, in terms of using federal power, what we cannot have is negotiation with bullies, compromising with bullies. And that's all. That's what the Republicans are. They're bullies. They have proven they don't believe in compromising. But worse than that, we cannot have the people who were infected first, called back to work first, paid the lowest wages first, and died first, to now be the last ones to get relief. And the last one. And so federal power, all of it, every bit of it, has to be used in whether it's using the resolution process, so that one vote gives you the majority, whether it's taking a hard relook at Title VI of Civil Rights Act and saying to folk, everywhere you're discriminating, we're going to pull your federal money if you don't straighten up and fly right. Whatever it is, federalizing $15 in a union so that state legislatures cannot unpack or cannot take away from people their living wages. Restoring the Voting Rights Act so that as these state legislatures start trying to enact now all of these racist voter suppression laws in response to the lies about voter fraud, they're starting to do that now. Well, we need immediate restoration, full restoration of the Voting Rights Act and expand it so that federal law can stop them from whatever they're planning on doing. We have to have it.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.